I've been waiting for this for a long time. I finally decided to sit down and review Cowboy Bebop. Isn't that great? Now, the premise of the show is simple. It's about a group of bounty hunters that travel together on their ship called the Bebop, hence the show's name, Cowboy Bebop, and they go around doing various jobs and collect bounties for a living. Easy enough to follow along, right? So, the crew is as follows. You got Jet the big black guy, Faye the badass chick, Ed the technical person, and Spike who, Okay, I can't say this with good conscience, so this is where the comparison ends. If you got confused, no, I am not reviewing Cowboy Bebop. Perhaps another time, I am instead reviewing a show called Black Lagoon. And I did this comparison because, at their cores, the original premises of both these shows are extremely similar. Group of bounty hunters collecting bounties. Not that this is a bad thing, because if Black Lagoon's gonna even slightly copycat anything, you might as well copy something good, am I right? So as I said, the show is about bounty hunters, but it doesn't actually start out that way. First we are introduced to Rokuro Okajima, a Japanese businessman who is living a perfectly normal life. He has a job where he gets his ass kicked a lot, he goes out drinking a lot, and he puts his head down to his superiors a lot. And on a company excursion where he has to transport a disc to somewhere, they don't actually say where, oh hey, that looks kind of peaceful. You got clean water, blue sky.
Alright, Mr. Japanese, I'll ask you one more time. The package you got from the Asahi Industry headquarters in Tokyo, the one you're in charge of until you hand it over to the chief in Borneo, this is it, right?
Yeah. But what I want to know is...
We're all done with you now. You've given us what we wanted.
So yeah, he was abducted by the crew of the Black Lagoon, who were hired to steal his disc. And then after he got abandoned by his company back in Japan because it was easier for them to forget about him than to try and save him, he decides to stay with Lagoon under the name that they give him, Rock.
So, you gonna join us, Rock?
Rock? I think he means you.
Now, granted, there is a much longer and more evolved story to it than that, but it's rather boring in comparison to the real reason everyone watches this show, the freaking action! Okay, now of course the action isn't the only reason that people watch this show. I actually think it's a combination of the action and the dialogue. Every character in Black Lagoon, whether main, reoccurring, or guest starring, has their own unique personality and therefore their own style of dialogue. And if there's one place that this show shines, it's in the dialogue. This is probably because the writers, both the Japanese ones and the English translators, really didn't care about anything. And what I mean by that is that there is no censoring of foul language and they didn't cushion the plot with words. Everything was straight to the point, and if they had to use slang to do it, so be it.
Take this, cocksuckers!
See what I mean? Now, the show as a whole was split into two parts, and I don't mean the Funimation thing that's like, oh, here's part 1, and oh, here's part 2, and oh, look, now we're going to release a complete box set that is the exact same price as just one of the parts. No. This split was done in Japan. They were only released about 4 months apart from each other, making them a unique anomaly to the traditional Season 1 and Season 2 that usually come out anywhere from 6 months and beyond from each other. Now, this doesn't stop anyone from referring to them as Season 1 or Season 2. Season 1, as it should be, is the introduction. All the major characters are introduced, we're shown the very large shithole that is the city of Ranipur, and all the episodes in Season 1 revolve around various jobs that Lagoon does to make money. And that's fine. It puts all the characters into various situations that we want to see them get out of. Like, let's take a look at this one, for example, shall we?
Fast. It's at 3 hours, 5 minutes. Can you see anything?
It's a gunship at minimum altitude.
An attack helicopter?
We have a visual!
I don't need confirmation. I can smell it. It's them, all right.
Damn them! That's how they're gonna kill me!
Yo, Rock! Heads up!
Oh yeah, because that gun's really going to be a lot of help against, what was it again? Oh yeah, an attack helicopter? Oh my God. Yeah, why don't you just launch the boat into the air and fire torpedoes while you're at it?
Fire number one! Fire number two!
You got fucked!
So that was awesome. But now in Season 2, lovingly called The Second Mirage, things started to change. It started out nice with this awesome arc involving Killer Lolly, and yes, that is what I said, but after that, the original formula is never seen. Episodes no longer revolve around a particular job that Lagoon has to do. In fact, Lagoon as a whole pretty much takes a back seat, which is depressing because it meant that Dutch and Benny rarely had any screen time, and it was the whole dynamic between the entire crew that made Season 1 great.
That kind of machismo doesn't agree with me.
Worse, as Barrage went on, they even started focusing less on Rock and Revy and more on their plot, which didn't make a lot of sense to me. The main characters should have a very large part on the story that is unfolding, not just have them put off to the side and pop in when it's convenient. So, Season 1 kicks Season 2's ass. Moving on. In the sound department, everything works out really well, especially the effects like the gunshots, explosions, etc. that you hear throughout, because they are very well detailed. Now, with the opening and ending, in case you haven't figured it out, I freaking love the opening theme, Red Fraction by Mel. It kicks all kinds of ass with its pacing. But with the ending theme, well, that's kind of a bit of an oddball, because it's not really a theme per se. It's really just a slow-moving and depressing song, which, if you're not careful, you could easily mistake it for background music because, really, that's what it is. It's really this dark tone that drags down the end of every episode. And this is a good thing. Black Lagoon is not a happy-go-lucky, oh, sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows type show. It really is a depressing, in-your-face anime, and the ending theme shows it. Now, sub versus dub. Dub, hands down, for one reason. Revy. Not to say that the Japanese voice actress did a bad job, but it just felt a whole lot more natural to me for the character to be speaking English. It just makes more sense. Plus, Marika Hendricks did a bang-up job with her.
We'll just shoot his ass and throw him overboard! Stop it!
Damn it! Don't damage the ship!
And on the dub as a whole, I really only had one problem, and it got fixed. In the beginning, I had a problem with Rock. At first I was like, ugh, Brad Swale. And then after a few episodes I was like, huh, Brad Swale. I don't know if it was because I was too used to the Japanese voice, or maybe he had a bit of trouble getting into it at the beginning, but either way, shortly afterwards, it disappeared, problem solved, good job Brad. There's only a few more things I want to mention, starting with the animation. Now, at first I didn't think I'd have to touch on this. It was produced by Madhouse after all, I shouldn't have to, but I did notice that as Season 2 began and went on, Revy seemed to look a lot less badass than she did in Season 1, and they seem to be making her a lot more cute, I think is the word, and it really didn't fit her. Now, the last thing is that the series as a whole really didn't end. It didn't have a big climax or anything, it just kind of finished. And I was really hoping for a much more explosive finale to something that started out so well. Sure, we know now that there's going to be a Season 3 OVA in 2010, but we didn't know that then. So my point stands, and it was depressing. Rent, buy, or toss. Buy Season 1, rent Season 2. Oddly enough, Funimation doesn't have this series up for streaming yet, but if they ever do, definitely check it out, because the series is worth it.
This is way more entertaining than Hollywood's ever gonna be.
Stay frosty, everyone. Now get the hell out of my room.